According to Franklin D. Roosevelt, let us never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not a president, senators, congressmen, and government officials, but voters of this country. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the program, The Eagle. My name is Aisha Muhammad.
Well, my name is Elijah Lai Mohammed. I am the Minister of Information and Culture. My message to Nigerians is that we should treat corruption the same way we treat cancer. In other words, we should wage war against corruption. If we do not wage war against corruption, we will lose everything. We will not be able to develop, we will not be able to provide for the people, we will not be able to secure our country.
On the program today, EFCC holds walk against corruption. Change Agenda, the EFCC Perspective, a special documentary on the fight against corruption in the last 2 years. This and more will come your way right after this timeout.
Imagine a society where everything works. Durable road networks, stable electricity supply, portable water, well-equipped and functional healthcare facilities, quality education for all, affordable housing schemes, social security benefits, job creation, and a lot more that makes life comfortable to live. That is an ideal society. We can only achieve these if we all play our part. Say no to corruption to enjoy these benefits. Kill corruption to save Nigeria. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
In a bid to further galvanize the Nigerian populace to embrace the fight against corruption, the EFCC on Tuesday, May 23rd, marched onto the streets of Abuja and other major capital cities in special anti-corruption sensitization road walk, the first by any anti-corruption agency in Nigeria. Acting chairman of the commission, Ibrahim Mustafa Magu, who led the walk in Abuja, said the exercise was planned to coincide with the second anniversary of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration and impress on the populace the need to be steadfast in their support for the anti-graft campaign amidst opposition from a tiny group of corrupt elite. Golden Onwura has more.
The anti-graft czar said that some elites in the society, whom he described as deadly and without remorse, are determined to slow the process employed by the agency in fighting corruption and vowed never to succumb to their antics. According to him, the government's focus on anti-corruption has galvanized the anti-corruption establishment and delivered hope that corruption can indeed be fought with the right political will. The EFCC boss used the occasion to acknowledge the support of all stakeholders in the fight, saying much gain has been recorded in the last 2 years. These gains are attested to by massive recovery of stolen assets and convictions of some high-profile corruption suspects. He enjoined all Nigerians to key into the fight against corruption, as the war can only be won through common consensus.
I want to tell people that this is a fight that cannot be won or cannot be fought by one man or by one institution. So we need a common consensus to agree to fight corruption. We must almost understand, we should also understand that corruption is wrong, because some people don't even believe corruption is wrong.
In his remark, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Ayuba Philibus Waba, lauded the Commission's achievements so far and pledged support for efforts geared towards wiping out corruption in Nigeria. Waba said that Nigerians have suffered in the hands of looters and it has become imperative for everyone to join in the fight, as that is the only way the war can be won.
The fight against corruption, if it doesn't succeed, then all of us Nigerians will be at the receiving end. Because the fact is very obvious. Why we don't have good roads? The answer is simple. Why we don't have hospitals and our political elites prefer to go outside the shores of this country? It's very simple. is because the money has been stolen. And these days we have seen even burial grounds are being used to stock money.
The Director General, Voice of Nigeria, Osita Okechukwu, who also joined the walk from the EFCC headquarters, noted that the anti-graft agency was in need of the support of all Nigerians, as it alone cannot win the war against corruption. The Director, Anti-Corruption Organization of Nigeria, Dr. Mohammed Nasidu, commended the initiative of the EFCC in organizing the walk against corruption, describing it as a welcome development. The President of Global Initiative Leadership and Good Governance, Ambassador Emeka Ezigwe, while describing corruption as a virus, said that the walk clearly showed how committed people were in eradicating corruption. He added that if only everyone could say no to corruption, the society would be a better one. Ezigwe commended Mago and said that the civil society remained solidly behind the EFCC. In Lagos, the president of Women Arise for Change Initiative, Joe Oke-Odumakin, has called on Nigerians to continue to expose corruption, saying it is necessary to preserve the future of the country. Speaking at the Lagos Zonal Office of the EFCC after participating in the walk, she also called on Nigerians to unite against corruption. Oke-Odumakin, who lauded the courage of the Nigerian media, human rights groups as well as civil society organizations in the fight against corruption, said the time for agonizing over the effect of corruption has gone, adding that a state of emergency must be declared within the sector so that corruption will know that it is an orphan. Others that spoke at the event were Chairman of Coalition Against Corrupt Leaders, CACOL, Debo Adeniran, the leader of Coalition of Human Rights Defenders, Enibehe Efyong, and Chief Orientation Officer, National Orientation Agency, Lilian Ndukwe. Head Operations, EFCC Lagos Zone, Garba Dukum, called on Nigerians to join hands with the Commission in the fight against corruption, saying it is the greatest evil bedeviling the society. From the Northwest, Kano Zonal Office joined in the walk, which was led by the Zonal Head, Dr. Adamu Hamisu Damusa. The walk, which started from the Commission's Kano Zonal Office and terminated at the race course, Nasarawa in Kano Metropolis, featured several stakeholders from ICPC, NDLEA, Karota and Civil Defense. At the termination of the rally, elder statesman and former minister in the First Republic, Alhaji Suleiman Tama Danmasani Kano, who stated that corruption is evil to the society and in God's eyes. Danmasani also warned that if we don't fight corruption, we will never achieve greatness in the eyes of the world. The walk, which held simultaneously in all the cities where the EFCC has offices like Kaduna, Gombe, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Kano, Lagos and the headquarters Abuja, had representatives of the Inspector General of Police, Controller General of Immigration, Commandant General of the NSCDC, National President, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Controller General, Nigerian Customs Service, civil society organizations, human rights groups, students, elder statesmen, members of the press and the general public. Golden Onwura, reporting for the Eagle.
Next is a documentary titled Change Agenda, the EFCC Perspective. Enjoy.
That corruption remains a major problem in Nigeria hardly does justice to the efforts being made to tackle the Malay. Perhaps those who have had the opportunity of working closely with the anti-corruption agencies can truly appreciate the efforts and sacrifices of the officers who daily toil to tackle a Malay that has become virulent, undermining the nation's economic health. Indeed, former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Kanu Agabi was spot on when he remarked recently at an awards ceremony organized by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) that the men and women that the nation shall remember are those like you who are serving selflessly and honestly. The men and women that the world has immortalized are not those who have sacrificed others, but those who have sacrificed themselves. The sacrifices which officers of the EFCC have made for their country can be better appreciated through a dispassionate appraisal of the activities of the anti-graft agency in the last few years under Ibrahim Magu as acting chairman. Not many Nigerians would have forgotten the public profile of the agency before Magu took the reins. Activity profile was low, with many cheekily calling the commission a toothless bulldog that was in deep slumber. That era seemed consigned to the dustbin of history. Magu has succeeded in restoring the credibility of the agency through a carefully designed program of re-professionalization that set new benchmark for professional and ethical conduct among officers and men. The emphasis on professionalism meant that the Commission had to set new ways of doing things and a new paradigm shift in its operations. The gains of the reforms are manifest for all to see. For the year ended 2016, the agency recorded about 200 convictions, with assets tuning into several billions of naira recovered. In the first quarter of 2017, EFCC announced it has recorded over 60 convictions. This is certainly a feat in light of the shenanigans that goes on in the Nigerian judicial system. Perhaps most significant is the fact that the record includes that of a former governor, oil magnates, who profited from a dubious subsidy regime, among others. On January 26, 2017, Justice Latifa Okunu of the Lagos High Court Ikeja convicted Walter Wagbatsoma, Chairman Ontario Oil and Gas Limited, and Adaugo Ngadi, Managing Director of the company, on an 8-count amended charge bordering on conspiracy, obtaining by false pretense, conspiracy to commit forgery, and altering of documents in an oil subsidy fraud. The EFCC had in 2013 accused them of involvement in a 1.9 billion naira oil subsidy fraud. The judge sentenced them to 10 years for conspiracy, 10 years for obtaining by false pretense, 7 years for conspiracy to commit forgery, 8 years for forgery, and 8 years for altering of documents. On March 1st, 2017, a former caretaker chairman, Ogorimagogo local government area of Kogi State, Gabriel Daudu, lost his appeal to overturn the guilty verdict passed on him by Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court Lokoja. Daudu was on April 25, 2016, convicted on 77 counts of fraud and sentenced to 2 years on each of the count for which he was convicted. On March 6, 2017, EFCC secured the conviction of former Adamawa State Governor Bala Ngelari in a trial that took about 7 months. Justice Nathan Musa of the Adamawa State High Court sentenced him to 5 years in prison for procurement fraud. It was a landmark achievement for the EFCC, as it was the first time in about 7 years that a former state governor prosecuted by the anti-graft agency would be convicted by a Nigerian court. The former Adamawa State Governor found himself on the wrong side of the law when the EFCC began probing his alleged mismanagement of public funds and abuse of office. He was first arraigned on September 21, 2016. On April 7, 2017, Justice Adebukola Banjoko of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Gudu, Abuja, convicted Jubril Rowaye, his company, Brela Energy Limited, and Alminoro Resources Limited, for a 1.05 billion naira subsidy fraud. Other notable convictions include the conviction of Innocent Clinton and Emmanuel Okani by Justice Saad Mohammed of Gombe State High Court on March 23rd for a 2-count charge of conspiracy and theft brought against them by the EFCC. They were found guilty of an 864,000 naira fraud, which they perpetrated by hacking into bank accounts using stolen bank verification numbers, through which they duped their victims. These convictions are indicative of improved investigation and prosecution by the EFCC in the last 2 years. Perhaps the most phenomenal achievement by the Commission is in the area of recovery of stolen funds. In the first quarter of 2017, the Commission, acting on intel from whistleblowers, uncovered huge cash, some hidden in the most unlikely places. The cash haul include the $43 million, 27,000 pounds sterling, and 23 million naira cash stashed in a private residence located on Osborne Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. The Commission had also recovered $9.8 million and 74,000 pounds sterling from the home of a former Group Managing Director, NNPC, located in the slum of Sabon Tasha, Kaduna. Equally, another whopping sum of 448,500,000 naira was recovered from a shop at Lejiko Shopping Plaza, Victoria Island, Lagos. Still in Lagos, 547,730 euros, $21,090 and 5,648,500 naira was recovered at the popular Balogun market on April 10, 2017. The EFCC also intercepted a cash haul of about 49 million naira at the Kaduna International Airport. The list is not exhaustive. In terms of recovered properties alleged to be proceeds of corruption, the EFCC in the last 2 years confiscated, either on interim or permanent basis, a massive number of structures, ranging from those of Dezani Alisa Madueke, several former service chiefs, their accomplices, and so many more. In the vigorous pursuit of its law enforcement mandate, the Commission in the last 2 years sent a forceful message that impunity would no longer be condoned by taking on the high and mighty in society. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, senior military officers, including former service chiefs, were investigated and arraigned on corruption charges. The now infamous Armsgate or Dasuki Gate saga has witnessed the prosecution of the likes of Air Marshal Alex Bade, former Chief of Defense Staff, Adeshola Amosu, former Chief of Air Staff, and several other serving and retired generals for allegedly siphoning monies meant for the procurement of arms for the fight against insurgency in the northeast into their pockets. There is also the investigation into the $115 million Dezani Alisa Madueke bribe meant to influence the outcome of the 2015 presidential elections, for which many politicians and officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) are currently being prosecuted in court. Justice Muslim Hassan ruled that the court was convinced that the monies were proceeds of crime. Also, serving judges and very senior lawyers are equally standing trial for corruption. They include Justice Rita Ajumogobia, Justice Unguta, etc. While it has taken its law enforcement endeavors to new heights, the EFCC under Magu has not lost sight of its preventive mandate. Compelled by a realization that the fight against corruption can only acquire the needed traction if all Nigerians have a buy into the campaign, the Commission created a project to mobilize all Nigerian women to become active combatants in the anti-corruption army. The Women Against Corruption program was flagged off on December 7, 2016 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, by the wife of the President, Hajiya Aisha Buhari. Zonal rollouts of the Women Against Corruption program commenced almost immediately, with the Southwest Zonal rollout taking place in Lagos on February 22nd. Other zones are billed to follow soon. The Ibrahim Magu-led EFCC also hosted the first ever anti-corruption summit at the EFCC Academy Karu, Abuja, tagged Building National Anti-Corruption Consensus in a multi-agency environment on March 27, 2017. Present were Adams Oshiomhole, former Edo State Governor, Chukwuka Utazi, Chairman Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, Kayode Oladele, Chairman House of Reps Committee on Drugs, Narcotics and Financial Crimes, Justice Joseph Oyewole of the Court of Appeal, among other dignitaries. At the summit, Magu assured Nigerians that every kobo taken illegally from the treasury would be traced, recovered, and returned. Furthermore, the Commission has strengthened its communications section with the creation of a Directorate of Public Affairs, which in the last couple of years stepped up the Commission's sensitization efforts through 3 units in the department: Media and Publicity Unit, Public Interface Unit, and Enlightenment and Reorientation Units. A 4th unit, Media Academy, organized training and refresher courses for media and public relations officers of law enforcement agencies. Using various media platforms, including the traditional and social media, the department stepped up the tempo of sensitization and public education on financial crimes issues. Aside from churning out a number of enlightenment publications, the Commission's media presence is buoyed by the extension of the broadcast of its weekly electronic media program, The Eagle, to more stations. It currently airs on 4 English and 1 Hausa stations. The online platforms of the Commission presently are Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Audioboo, and Instagram. People do not need to physically visit the Commission to receive answers to their question on any issue, as the Commission's official email is actively used to receive and respond to international and local inquirers and complainants. The email is info@efccnigeria.org. Indeed, slowly but steadily, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agencies within and outside the country. Global confidence in the EFCC has been restored under Magu. More donor organizations and foreign law enforcement agencies are now eager to do business with the EFCC, opening fresh lines of partnership and collaboration with the attendant benefit for improved capacity. The Commission is closely working with the United States Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI), United Kingdom's National Crime Agency, the UK Serious Fraud Office, the Netherlands Police, to mention but a few. These relationships are geared towards seamless investigations of transnational economic and financial crimes, as well as the tracing and recovery of looted funds and assets. The Commission has been actively involved in the tracing and recovery of stolen assets, both within and outside jurisdiction. It has also been instrumental in securing the cooperation of countries such as the United Arab Emirates in supporting the anti-money laundering efforts of the Nigerian government. All these signposts the Magu-led EFCC's unflinching commitment to the anti-corruption mandate of the Buhari administration and its concurrence on the solemn verdict of the President that if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. The EFCC has, in 2 years, shown what courage and dedicated leadership can bring to the table in our nation's quest to be free from the grips of corruption.
with that, we have come to the end of today's episode of the program. Please don't forget to drop your comments via our social media portal at Official EFCC across all the social media platforms. For any information, inquiry or suggestions, please write to the Eagle at efccnigeria.org. You can also send your petitions to info@efccnigeria.org. I leave you with the words of Louis L'Amour, who says, "To make democracy work, we must be a nation of participants, not simply observers. Let us all be participants for a better Nigeria." My name is Aisha Mohammed. Thank you for watching, and God bless Nigeria.